This is the final bit of admin that you'll have to do when you're launching a product. So I'm going to go through my PIF template. I do have this on my website you can purchase, and the one you can purchase has lots of notes in red telling you how to fill every single bit in, and it's very slightly different because I've added a bit more to it than I'm adding here, but the general gist is the same, so you'll know how to fill it out after watching this. So we'll start off with the date, which is in our header, so it should apply to all pages, and we'll just say today's date. Okay, and then click out of the footer. We got that it's a PIF. Our product name is cold process soap. And CPSR reference, when you get your CPSR, it will have a reference number, so just put that there. I'm not going to give my actual reference number because this is just a demo, so I'm just going to put a random number there, but you'd use the number from your CPSR. If you are doing a PIF with lots of variants, so you don't need to do this for every single product. If it's a base formulation with different variants, you can create what's known as a family PIF. If you're doing that, then you create variants and then just put them in here. So lemon meringue, peach, blackcurrant, and licorice. Let's just say that I'm doing a family PIF for those three. I put them here, and then every section that I do, I'll basically copy and paste it to do it again for that variant. So let's show you how I do this. So we scroll down, the first page is your GMP declaration. Now, you just need to put the product so they know what it's referring to. And the variant, let's put lemon meringue. Now, if I was doing this for multiple variants, I would copy this, paste it underneath, and then change the variant. And basically I want a statement under each one saying that these products were manufactured as per good manufacturing practice. And then I'd reference the ISO, which is the ISO certificate on good manufacturing practice, which you can purchase. You don't have to, but it's a good idea to have it on file because it lays out exactly what's expected of you. So I purchased that. I'll try and leave a link below for where you can purchase that. But that's ISO 22716. And then that I'd just copy and paste for each variant. So you're doing it like that, and then just format it so you can clearly see each one. And then you will need an actual GMP statement. Now, I do have a longer example on my actual PIF template, but please don't copy it because it needs to be your good manufacturing practices, how you run your business, how you manufacture your products. If you copy mine, it won't be accurate, and trading standards will have something to say about it. This isn't exactly mine either. I've altered this a little bit, but it's the basic gist, something like this. And you'd want to make this a little bit longer as well, so maybe have sections on how you store your ingredients, a bit about health and safety, how you prepare for manufacturing products, things like that. I do have another video on a PIF as well, so you can watch that for a little bit more information, but that needs to be on this page as well, or you can go over to another page if you need it. Then we need to include product photos. So again, put the product and then the variant. And then you just insert a photo of your product. So let's do that. You won't be able to see what I'm doing at the moment because for some reason it doesn't like showing pop-up windows, but you'll see it when I add it. So just add a picture of the product. Oh, don't flip it. Like that. So this is just of your finished product. Okay, so you know what it looks like. You can add more than one photo if you want. If you're doing another variant, then we'll just copy, paste, and we'll do peach, and then enter another photo. Make that a lot smaller so it fits on that page, and you see that's kind of how we do that. Then we go to the next section, which is unformatted itself, of course, because Word likes to do that. Product labels, again, like that. Product labels, so we then need our label, which I have here. So we'll find our image of our label, which is here. Insert that, and again, just make it big enough to read, but you can resize that a little bit, and then copy and paste for your next label, but obviously get the correct label, and fill all of those in for each variant. Then we come to the manufacturing process. Now, this is how you make your soap. So product name, cold process soap, and I'm going to put the variant in this because we need this page for each variant, basically, if we were doing a family PIF. And then product code, remember from our previous video, the code is the code that's assigned to the formula that does not change unless you change your formula. So it's not the batch code, it's the formula code. So it was something like that. And then batch amount, this is how much your manufactured batch makes. So in my case, 10 bars. Setup process, this is where you describe your sanitization and how you set up. Basically, this document is so that if you have staff or someone new to your company and you told them to go and make this soap, they would know exactly what to do by following this sheet. So sanitize your workspace with isopropyl. This is assuming that the workspace has been cleaned daily. Lay out your equipment on your workbench, etc. You know, you get the idea, but how you'd set up to start making your product. Equipment required, in our case, trade approved. Scales, PP jug for lye, 2 times PP jugs for dividing colours, stainless steel bowl for melting oils, etc. You get the idea. So you list all your equipment. Ingredients, this is where you list your ingredients as you make it. So this isn't the finished ingredients list that we did earlier. This is everything that goes into making it. So you'd have, this can be in grams if you want, if you're making soap. If it's a body butter or another cosmetic, then do it in percentages and then grams. But for soap, for this manufacturing process, we'll list in grams, because the percentages are worked out a bit differently, and we'll do that later. Let's say distilled water, 100 grams sodium hydroxide. This is a made-up recipe, so please don't follow it, it won't work. 300 grams shea butter, 200 grams coconut oil, etc. So you list your ingredients here, and then if you have any variants, you can then list them by doing another one of these sheets. So for lemon meringue, I'd have this sheet. For the peach soap, I'd have this sheet, etc., because each soap will be made a little bit differently. And then method, just describe exactly as you make it. So melt oils in stainless steel or glass bowl, etc. And then even it down to how you do the top of it. So swirl top in figure of 8 pattern swirl. This keyboard is awful, by the way, I'm sorry for the typos. So there you go, like just fill that in with your method step by step, make it as detailed as possible so that anyone following this that had never made soap before could make a bar of soap or whatever product you're making. Then a little bit about challenge testing. Did you perform challenge testing or not? If it's got water in it, you will need to have had challenge testing done, in which case you would say yes and refer to your challenge testing declaration, which we'll get to later. Stability testing, yes, you would have done this, and there's a stability data page later on, so we'll just say yes. Then we move on to the micro testing declaration. Now, for soap, I don't need to do this. So because I don't need to do this, product is a soap which does not require challenge / microbiome testing. So that's all I'd put for soap. If it was a product that needed testing, I'd put challenge testing was performed by, and I'd write who it was performed by. I highly recommend ISCA Cosmetic Testing. I have done a video with Georgia from ISCA and she describes how all of that works, so go and watch that if you haven't. And then I'd include any reports and information they sent me within my PIF here and refer to that here. So that's what that is. Then we have no animal testing declaration. Again, let's just copy and paste this to save me typing it all the time. Paste. And then I declare that my products have not been tested on animals, and nor to my knowledge have my suppliers tested on animals. So this basically says that I don't, and I don't believe where I have sourced my ingredients have either. If your suppliers have a no animal testing declaration on their website, or they can provide one to you, then get that and include that in your PIF as well. Next is your packaging material specifications. So let's just paste that in there again. Remember, just repeat this if you've got variants. This is where you source your packaging and what is it. So soaps will be packaged in biodegradable, shrink wrap with a front and reverse label. Biolefen shrink wrap from the Natural Shrinkwrap Company. In case you'd not seen, the National Shrinkwrap Company have now got a new website called the Natural Shrinkwrap Company, which focuses just on their biolefen and biodegradable options. So go and check that out. There's a link in the description below, but that's why I've written natural instead of national, in case anyone was wondering. Then reverse labels from Avery, and then you can put links here as well to your suppliers, and just list all of your suppliers for all of your packaging. This is the packaging for your product, not what you ship in. So do that for each variant. Then product specification. Now this is a bit different for soap than it is for another product, so let's just paste this in. Intended use, full body. Composition weight of product, so fully cured weight around 120 grams, let's say. Base ingredients and variant ingredients, this is where you split them out, but this is where you do percentages. So do you remember when we did our labels, we worked out in the finished soap bar what the glycerin content and what the water content would be. So this is the saponified ingredients list. If you're just doing a normal cosmetic product like body butter or whatever, it will be the same as your manufacturing process in percentages. 30% butter, 30% oil, whatever you've done. Let's just adjust that as well. And remember, this was your product code. Again, doesn't change unless your formula does. Base ingredients, so we need to go to our spreadsheet for our label ingredients to find out what those were. So if you remember this spreadsheet from my labels video, we took all of our ingredients for our particular variant and listed all of the grams that we used. We worked out the glycerin at 77% of the lye amount, and we worked out the water left in the final bar at 12.5% of the total oils, and we listed all of our ingredients as the saponified oils, so sodium cocoate, sodium shea butterate, etc. Shea butterate, excuse me. And then all of our extras and their grams, and then we worked out the percentages of all of these. So it's this list and these percentages that we need to put into our PIF. So if I copy this across, and those, copy as a number, there we go, and then we will take this, in fact let's put percent and ingredient, there we go, and copy that. And then I'm going to come back to my PIF and then paste it here, like so. And then actually I'll get rid of the variant ingredients, or just keep it all as one. It doesn't really matter how you do it, it's completely up to you. But that is basically your ingredients in percent form, your saponified ingredients, and this is a specification of the final product. And then suppliers of ingredients, you could actually put them in brackets next to each ingredient if you want, but if it's just from one place, then put that. Ooh. Etc. And then let's say if you had other suppliers, you could write other suppliers and what they were for. It's probably easier just to put in brackets next to the ingredient, to be fair. The packaging, as on packaging specification. You don't really have to put this here, but I like to include everything about the product here. Just if someone wants a quick bullet point browse of what the product is comprised of, they'll be able to see it from this sheet. So biolephine, shrink film and Avery brand labels. And then pH is non-applicable. And then specification, this is this table here, and this is basically what it should look like. So if anyone's looking at the soap, what's its appearance, what's its odour, what's its colour? So appearance would be something like solid bar. If you had a body butter, it would be thick cream or paste. Odour, and this would be characteristic of the smell, so characteristic lemon meringue. And then colour, base of brown with middle of dark yellow and light yellow swirl. It did go dark yellow because we had vanillin in there, which means it discolours a little bit, which is a shame, but it still looks good. And then white top with grated yellow melt and pour sprinkled down the middle. So you're just describing it basically. And then notes, this could be sort of how it appears at different stages. So for instance, in colour, I might put when first made is bright yellow but discolours darker due to vanillin content in fragrance. So after 2 weeks. So you're just writing notes like that. If there's no change in odour, then no change. If there's no change in a solid bar, or if it's soap, you can say hardens fully after 4 weeks, or something like that. Just any notes really that you want to include about it. And that's your product specification, and you can see how it's slightly different from your method of manufacture. So method of manufacture is how you make it. Product specification is all about the finished product. Then we go down to proof of claimed effect. Now, we can't make claims in the UK unless we've had claims testing. Again, if you want to learn more about that, check out my video interview with Iska, because we chat all about that. If you're not making any specific claims, then you can just put something like this product claims no health benefits and therefore is sold only as a cosmetic product, or something like that. There is a better example in the actual PIF template, just something to that effect. And then again, if you've got variants, just copy and paste and just make sure that you've got the variant name correct, and then do that for each one. If one of them happens to have a claim against it, then you would put that this product is claimed to do whatever it's supposed to do, and then you'd include your documentation for that from ISCA or wherever you had the claims testing done. Right, nearly done, don't worry. Then we want stability and compatibility declaration. This is where you have done your stability testing and checked that the packaging doesn't have a negative effect on your product. Instances where this might happen, say you have one of those nice glass jars with an aluminium lid or something, the metal may react with the lotion inside, depending what ingredients you've got. If you've got cardboard biodegradable packaging and you've made a deodorant or something and you find that the oils may seep through, or the packaging just doesn't last, things like that. That's why you need to do stability with packaging. So we're just going to do our variant for this again, and then you just copy all of this for each variant if you wanted. Actually, let's get rid of that, we don't want that bit. Type of testing performed. So you could actually have 2 tables or 2 lots of information for this. For me, I'm going to have 2. So on shelf at room temperature 1 year. Let's copy and paste this. And then the second one, I will do freeze thaw method. One of my soaps would have been on a shelf at room temperature for 1 year. It was actually there for 2 years, but anyway. After 1 month, let's just put the product name if you're doing multiple, so lemon meringue. And the appearance after 1 month was slightly darker, sorry, this is formatted in red, slightly darker yellow. Odour unchanged, texture unchanged, no notes. After 3 months, so again, copy, paste. This is me being overkill here with my columns. You don't need to put this in every single one. So after 3 months, unchanged from month 1, unchanged. unchanged. After 6 months, unchanged from month 3. So this is always following on from when it discoloured and when I last checked it. Odour, slightly faded. Texture, unchanged, etc. So just fill it out like that. And then the freeze thaw method, we have gone through this in my stability video. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. We tested this in its packaging and we put it in the freezer for 24 hours. We thawed it for 24 hours. We put it back in the freezer for 24 hours, thawed it for 24 hours. Basically did that 3 times. And then assuming it remains unchanged, or like after the 6-month mark with my shelf life, it's just a little slightly less scented, then that's fine. We're happy with that. We can claim a shelf life of 6 months. And that is what I'm doing for my bars. Although soap lasts about 30 months or more, you do find that scent fades after a while because fragrance oils do struggle with the saponification process. So it does sort of fade out after a while, but 6 months is plenty of time to use a soap. So we're happy with that. We're just going to make a side note saying stability testing indicated a shelf life of 6 months, backed up by my CPSR. So my CPSR actually indicates a shelf life of 12 months, but because I have seen scent fade after 6, I've decided to go with 6, and I'm using the period after opening symbol, and I'm happy with that. And that is my stability testing sheet. And then I just copy and paste this for each different variant, filling in the specific information for that variant. And then we come to the end, but there's a few more things you need to include. So you will need your batch record sheet. Well, you won't necessarily need to put this in your PIF, it can be a separate thing, but I like to include it within the PIF so that if someone asking for information on my products literally has everything they need to know. Then you need the MSDS sheets for all of your ingredients, the same for the allergen sheets, the COA sheets and the IFRA sheets, and you also need a copy of your CPSR. Now that doesn't mean you need to copy and paste them into this document, it just means they either need to be printed out alongside this and put in the same folder physically, or you need to save them to the same folder in your computer, so that all of this information is together and you can just zip it up and email it over when it's requested. So that is everything that goes into a PIF. If you do want this template with all the how-to information and extra boxes and bits and pieces in it, then that can be found on my website, and it's also linked below on my product shelf. I think that's, an easy way to do it. But once you've done this once, it's so easy to replicate. So don't get intimidated by it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. As long as you're including all of this information, you'll be fine. So I hope that's been helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.